There were spiritual aspects to what happened in 2020. And if you haven't noticed, in our scientism cult, they don't want to take into account anything in life that's not measurable. So they're the people who organized the 2020 attack. They want nothing to do with spirituality. And spirituality isn't maybe what you're thinking in regards to how I'm going to describe it here. Spiritual aspects are things that happen to us in life that can't be measured exactly. Everything that matters sometimes can't be measured. So in 2020, a lot of people had to deal with the spiritual consequences of their past life. For example, I know this one lady who is she gets really flustered by group pressure, but she's not 16 years old. She's like 45 years old. And the spiritual consequences of that would always weigh heavy in her life, and she kept ignoring it and ignoring it and ignoring it, and she kept sort of acting like a 17-year-old in an adult life, always trying to be everybody's friend and keeping things in. And that kind of adaptation to navigate an adult life doesn't work, because it will stagnate you, it will make you sick, it will deplete your energy reserves. And if there's one thing about this lady, she's always tired, because it's very exhausting trying to say the right thing to absolutely everybody. Like, it takes really nothing to tell the truth. It takes everything you got to put on a facade and to basically try to think out what the other person wants you to say. So this lady was this way of navigating life like a 16-year-old would be forced to, because they don't have any power, was really getting the better of her. And in 2020, she complied with what the TV said, because she used this adaptation that she had homed over 45 years. This is sort of she had a Swiss Army knife with only one blade in it. And that blade was do as you're told and comply and people please and be everybody's friend and don't speak up, don't rock the boat, go along to get along, and everything will be fine. And of course, the people who organized the attack from 2020 forward knew that a lot of people who aren't born like this were molded and modified to sort of live as the forever child. And the forever child is basically an adult who acts, talks, and thinks like a teenager, and uses those same coping mechanisms we used to use in around the sandbox in primary school. They use those coping mechanisms to try and navigate an adult life, and it doesn't work. So when the 2020 attack was launched in March, these people were squarely between the crosshairs, and this lady held on for as long as she could. But as the group pressure mounted to levels she had no practice in, because she didn't have any practice in being an individual. See, in psychology, there's something called individuation, and it's exactly what you would imagine it to be with the word individuation. Is you practice becoming an individual and not losing yourself in the crowd. Like if you want to be a painter and everybody else wants to go to school to get jobs on the Death Star working for the government, the individual who individuated knows that their path lies with being a painter. So this lady never really individuated, and we're supposed to individuate. And individuation and maturity and sort of making the rite of passage from child to adult was very important in ancient cultures, they used to have ceremonies, or what they call rites of passage, so that children would know when their childhood was over and when they were expected to become an adult and act, talk, think like an adult. And in our society, purposely, those rituals have been inhibited or bypassed or forgotten altogether, and that just made the attack of 2020 that much more effective. So this lady, who didn't individuate, didn't have a lot of practice being a sovereign being and doing what she was used to doing what was easy instead of doing what was right. And she couldn't handle if like one person thought she was not the best lady in the room. And everybody at her place of employment were also in the same boat. So there was a lot of pressure to comply and go along to get along with the dictates coming out of the TV screen. So she complied and took her shots, and now she's a little sick. And of course she's trying to hide it from everybody because she doesn't want anybody to know, and that's all part of the spiritual development that she may be trying to still bypass. So spiritual aspects of the attack in 2020 were, you could say that spiritually it was needed. It was needed so that people looked in the mirror and took a good assessment of where they were on a spiritual level, where they were individually, where they were on the maturity level, and basically a wake-up call to stop bullshitting oneself in order to keep anchoring yourself in this death cult illusion. And a lot of people failed the initial test and are left with the results to ponder, because right now, I mean, they're doing another psychological operation, letting people know they were suckered. That's why the news is telling everybody, hey, you were suckered. And that is all part of the maturity to know that maybe next time the maturity level will be there so the person can individuate, lead their own lives, and make their own decisions outside the group pressure, and just sort of morph in or transition into the role as a fully functional, mature adult inside the tribal circle. Now, if you need any more information like this, you know what to do. Email me personally at info@jchristoff.com. I got the Christoff Report, goes out 4 times a week, and slow drip you some information for free to make your life better. This is Jason Christoff signing off. Have a great day.